Welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's just Kat. Hi, I am Kat, and today we are going to be talking about how I pretended most of my life. I think that this topic is going to stir some insight into the world of an introvert, but I'm hoping that a lot of people can relate to what I'm about to talk about. It's very much, I believe, a part of a lot of people's just day to day and how society, how the world goes around. Okay. People hide themselves all the time. They camouflage themselves in certain friend groups and work groups just to get by, just to feel accepted. And that was me. So here we go. So like I said, I'm an introvert. I always have been, and I think I always will be. It's just a part of my DNA. I like to be by myself. I like it and I don't like it. I guess I would restate that statement. I like it because of the solitude. I can go days without talking to anybody, put me in a cabin, fresh air, greenery, all the commodities, and we're good. Okay? My peopling, it's good. I guess it's good. I people. I don't like to people for long. I go on about my day, do what I have to do at work, talk to people, kiki, yada yada, and then I'm ready to go home. My house, my home is basically my sanctuary, and I know there's a lot of people out there that can relate. So that's just who I am. I have been like that since I was little. But I didn't realize that I was like that when I was little. I wanted, the solitude, but I wanted to feel accepted. And I quickly found that instead of fighting against the grain, I would go against the grain and have friends when I needed to have friends and not feel alone. It did backfire on me. I could remember just in elementary school, even as far back as kindergarten, realizing that I couldn't just be myself. If I wanted people to play with me, there was a lot of, oh crap, I think I'm the weird one in the group. And I can't be weird because I don't want to sit alone during recess. So, Kat, stop being weird. And so I did. I learned how to essentially camouflage myself. I don't know how to explain it. Not draw too much attention to myself, but also be like a chameleon. So essentially, I basically backtracked my own personality to fit in. I hid my own talents, my personality, the things that I liked, the things that I didn't like, just to fit in. And that definitely had a place in my life through elementary school, obviously, like the sixth grade, fifth and sixth grade. And then my middle school was only seventh and eighth. And then high school, definitely, it played a big part of me getting through that portion of my life. I don't think it really hit that I was a bystander to my own authenticity that makes sense, until college. I was still in running the race of I want to be liked and I want to be accepted. I didn't want to have to be rejected again. And at that point, it wasn't just rejection from, boys, right? It was rejection from friends. It was having that friend to treat you like your best friend one minute, and then they get in front of a whole crowd and then they treat you like crap the next. It was getting, it was the product of getting bullied in elementary school and in middle school, and not necessarily in high school. But college just seemed like a whole different ballgame. College was the time where I was an adult, quote unquote, but I still didn't know who I was as a person because I had been hiding this whole time. So you have a person that's been hiding, and then you tell them, go adult and be free. And they screw everything up. Well, not everything, right? That's a little dramatic, but I just went astray. I could remember just being places that I didn't want to be, but I was there because everybody else was there, doing things that I didn't want to do, but I did them because everybody else did them, and I didn't want to seem like the weak link or the downer. Social pressures are very much real, even though they're not unspoken, they're felt, and that's enough for somebody to behave a certain way in order to be liked. So that way they're not rejected or humiliated. And that was very much me. So I'm saying this because the Lord called me to a place of authenticity within the last couple of years, and I struggled with it. I struggled because I honestly didn't know who Kat was, and I had to backtrack and ask the Lord, where do I start with discovering who I am? Where do I start with not faking who I am anymore just to be liked? And he said, go back to your childhood. What are the things that you used to like when you were a kid? How were you when you were alone in your room and it was just you? And I could remember, I think my mom could attest to this too. I would spend hours in my room. That was, hours, okay? Give me a whole Saturday. Give me a whole Friday night, Saturday, come out for meals, go to the bathroom, go right back into my room up until Sunday when we had to go to church. That was most of my weekends. I would redesign my whole room. I don't know how many times I did that. Moving whole furniture by myself at the age of 10, 11, 12. Not really asking for help. I just wanted to do it. Just because I was bored with the way my room looked. Reading was a big thing for me. Listening to music and writing down the lyrics to every single song that was my favorite song at the time, only to sing them back at the top of my lungs in my own concert. Okay, I think a lot of kids did that. But there was a lot of time of just staring at the ceiling, and I daydreamed a lot. a lot. And I think that translated now for me, being a writer and being able to take those thoughts in my imagination and put them on paper, that's the correlation. But that was who I was. And I loved it. I didn't have to answer to anybody. I didn't have to feel judged by anybody. I didn't have to explain why I liked certain things or why, how, the way that I thought about certain things, the way that I processed certain things. And that was my safe zone. There was a lot of times from just being out in public, going to school, even in my own family, that I was constantly criticized. I felt like every eye was on my every move, and I did not understand why. Why am I that important that somebody would have something to say about how I cut cheese, how I ate my pizza, how I dressed, how I said the thing, walked a certain way? Like, it was, and I don't know why I just said cut cheese. Anyway, but you get it. Like, I don't understand what the fascination was. And I just felt like everyone and their mom was literally watching my every move. And I didn't understand why. And every move that I made was, at that time, trying to be my true self. But every time I was my true self, I would get criticized for it. So, that gets old and that gets frustrating. And so I would change when I needed to. It's almost like you dumb yourself down just to seem smart. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. But in my head, it made sense. And it worked. I think society is so imperfect with just normalizing normal and not really celebrating authenticity. I feel like, let me go on a rant. Okay. I don't think a lot of people love authenticity as much as they say they do. Because if they did, there wouldn't be trends, right? Every time something happens that's authentic, it becomes like this trend and everybody wants to do it. But if everybody was authentic or trying to be authentic, there would be no trends because there would be no group of large followers doing the exact same thing as the authentic thing. Am I making sense? I hope I am, because I'm making sense in my head. And I think that's most important for me. Anyway, so yeah. But all to say that trying to fit in resulted in a lot of behaviors that I demonstrated that rooted in rejection and rooted in perfectionism, and rooted in people pleasing. I think those three things are very, very lethal to somebody's authenticity and their true self. Because that was the cycle that I was in, and I still struggle with that cycle. Not as much as I did before, but it's still there. And I have to check myself a lot because I'm not here to please anybody but the Lord, number one. Number two, He created me different from anybody else in this world, and I should celebrate that. And number three, rejection doesn't exist unless I care. So, Simple as that, right? And that I hope, and not like I don't care, but I don't, I'm working on not caring about what other people have to say about me. I can now take constructive criticism because if it's from somebody that I trust, that I know is desiring me to improve myself and not gatekeep, then I take it and I receive it. But I'm starting to be able to smell a lot of BS when it comes to criticism. And so I separate it, right? I either take it or leave it. And that's the new Kat that's evolving. I still have the foundation of who I was as a kid, because essentially that person, the little Kat, is still here. She never went away. She's always going to be there, but I stuffed her in the back of the closet for so long that she was never able to evolve the way she was supposed to. So now I gotta go back to the Lord, which I did, right? And he told me to go back to your foundation, go back to the beginning, and start tracing who you are over the years. And I've been doing that. And then now he's adding more. I mean, if God is ever evolving and he's just so dynamic, I'm only assuming and imagining, and I know because he lives within me and he created me, that I'm also multidimensional, very dynamic, ever evolving. So I don't know how to say this. And I'm taking my time. Hope you don't mind. Wow, I lost my thought. Bring it back, Kat. So I can declare now that I'm not faking just to get by and just to be accepted anymore. That old self is dead. I now live in a world where Kat is just Kat, right? Like, you get what you get. You don't throw a fit, okay? But I'm still struggling, and this is me being transparent. I'm still struggling with knowing, and it's okay, but I still know that there's a lot of spaces that I don't completely fit into. And I don't think I will ever fit into these spaces, into a lot of spaces, actually, into around certain people. I'm never going to be that girl who just fits in. I'm always going to be that outlier. Always. And I've come to grips with that. And honestly, I don't want to be fully accepted. I like being the outlier. And I couldn't say that like 5 years ago just because I secretly wanted to be liked. But now I don't care that I'm the outlier. I actually like it because people leave me alone. And when I say something, they take me seriously. I don't have to prove myself as an outlier. And if you feel that you're an outlier, you do not have to prove yourself. I think people naturally just take to what you have to say because you're not running with the herd. And if you're not running with the herd, you're naturally seen as somebody that has their own mind. And if you have your own mind, what you have to say is important, because you're seeing things from an outside perspective, not from inside out, not from herd mentality, but from individuality, right? You know more about your identity, I feel like, than most people do, trying to be liked. And that's how I feel at this time, at this season of my life. And I pray and I hope that I evolve even more into the person that the Lord wants me to become. And I hope you, outlier, fellow outlier, evolve into who the Lord wants you to evolve into as well. I would say let's stick together, but we're outliers. We don't stick together. But you do have somebody here, hi, that gets it, that understands that not everything that you have to say is going to be understood. That people are going to judge you just because you are different. Your authenticity scares people. It really does. And I remember just being very confused by that, because I don't know if I was saying it to somebody or praying, listen, because I talk to the Lord like he's my right-hand man, like my best friend, which he is. But when I talk to the Lord, I talk to him like another person. My prayers sound like this, right? It sounds like just conversation. And so I don't remember if I was telling the Lord or asking him or talking to somebody else, but I remember having that conversation about why I just feel like I scare people, and I don't understand. I didn't understand why people were so quick to say something very passively or do something very passively to hurt my feelings or to push me off my access a little bit, to shake me up a little bit. And honestly, I think it's because how do I say this? I want to say like I'm more confident in myself than I realize. And I think people catch on to that and it scares them. And I'm not saying that I'm this person that people are like, what am I saying? You know when that popular girl in movies, she's what is the word? She seems confident, but deep down she has low self-esteem and she's threatened. There you go. She's threatened by the girl who is the confident one, but she's shy and she's not as pretty and she's not popular. There's like a whole bunch of movies with that whole same plot. That's kind of how I felt. As cheesy as it sounded, I felt like the girl who was confident in herself and that didn't have to prove anything, but just what was. And that threatened other people. That threatened the popular girl. And I felt that multiple times within social groups, which essentially led to either outright bullying or just passive bullying, and there's a difference. But it even happens like now, like as adults, there's some people that just have to say something critical or something that criticizes something that I'm doing, even if it's with a smile and with a soft voice and it, or underneath their breath, or, you know, it's not outright, but it's still aggressive. And I there's like a hint of aggression. And I'm like, why? We're adults. Why? But I have to come to the realization that people are really, really, really struggling with identity. And I still don't know all of who I am either. I'm not this person who knows everything and who's super confident. I'm still in the realm of not feeling confident. But I don't feel confident, but I think I come off as confident. And that's not to my own abilities. The Lord really has done a good work. And I just feel bad for those who constantly have to passively aggressively try to knock me down or do the same to others who are trying to just find their way in this life. So I just hope that whoever's listening, if you're finding yourself faking it and not or not feeling your true self and or being an outlier and or being that introvert that is just scared to represent who you really are, you're not alone. And the key is the Lord. It's a journey, but he's the start and the end to all of this. He created you to be who you are. All the little things that make up your personality and your character and your behavior, that's all him. He created all that. So if you're struggling, go to the one who created you and let him tell you who you are. Let him tell you where to begin. I guarantee you, you're not going to be disappointed, but it's going to be a fight because think about it. You've spent years behind this curtain of fakeness and pretending and trying to be accepted, or just hiding, and those are habits. And now you got to change into new habits. But like the Bible says, the Lord can renew your mind. And when you renew your mind, you change your behavior. And when you change your behavior, you change your habits. So it all begins and ends with the Lord. You have to go to him and ask for help. Let him show you who you are. And then it starts from there. And you just keep going. You don't give up. It's going to be hard. Like there's a lot of times I cried because I'm a big baby. And it was hard. And I was just like, ugh. But I got through it. You just cry it out. Cry it out with the Lord. Let him, he's patient. Like let him coddle you. He's a father too. And that's what he did for me. I cried my little eyes out. But you know in your knower that you got to keep going. You got to keep running that race. And I had a very good reminder a couple of days ago, and it's just been, the Lord has been just showing me over and over and over and over again through a lot of ways of the importance of consistency, but also the importance of giving yourself grace and being able to love yourself the way God loves you. And I'm working on it. For the people who know what I'm talking about, I am working on it. Interesting enough, I was doing word studies before the breakdown happened. And I'll tell you about the breakdown in another video. But just this past couple of days, weeks, I had a mental breakdown. I'm going to be real. And it all just came to an understanding in my heart that, yeah, like it wasn't about my faith, my lack of faith, or anything about faith in God. It was, I need to receive his love. And in that is my identity. And I need to receive his grace. And in that is also my identity. And I need to realize that he is patient with me. And in that is my identity. And I was doing word studies on the joy of the Lord, on love. The Lord kept on bringing me back to 1 Corinthians 13. And I'm like, Lord, I don't know what else to study in this chapter. I've studied it. I don't know what else. But it was like he knew that I was going to have a mental breakdown. And he knew that I needed to just have a quick reference of all the word studies that I've been doing that really did speak to why I was having my mental breakdown. And it really was food on top of having people in my corner to just pull me off the ledge. My word studies from weeks, even months before my mental breakdown helped me to just do a quick recap. And I was able to receive what I had written down in my notebook even more because of what I had just went through. It's like he prepared the ground before I even needed to receive the fruit from the seeds that were planted. Like, it was crazy. It was like a complete circle. Anyway, all I'm saying is that the Lord knows, like, he knows who you are. And if he can plan things ahead of time, knowing where you're going to be in the next couple of months, you got to trust him. Like, that's cool. Like, if you really think about it, your actions and him telling you instructions on what to do and you just don't understand. And then months later, you're like, oh yeah, I needed that. Thanks, Lord. Like, come on. That's God. So if you're struggling with any of this that I'm talking about, go to God. Simple as that. Go to God. Okay, I think I'm done. I think I'm gonna end there. I'm looking at the clock. It's 33 minutes. I hope I wasn't ranting. But you get my point. Y'all, I feel like the people who have subscribed, okay, my small tribe, you get it. So I hope you guys have a good day, good night, whenever you guys are watching. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe, like the video, comment, do the things. Let's have a conversation. I'm open to having conversations. I'm open to just hearing your guys' stories and your guys' perspectives. If you are dealing or have dealt with the same things that I'm talking about, please, by all means, share your testimonies too. Share your stories. I love to hear life, people living life. Sociology major. That's what I studied, and that's what I like. So, all right, well, I'm gonna get out of here and go live my life. I will see you later. Bye.